Welcome to Empower You, Awakening the Woman Behind the Mom. This podcast is dedicated to helping you rediscover yourself, reclaim your worth, and find balance in the beautiful chaos of motherhood. I'm your host, Sarah Hopping, mom of 3 neurodivergent kids, military spouse, and advocate for moms who are ready to put themselves back on their priority list. Here on Empower You, we dive deep into the realities of motherhood, personal growth, and everything in between. Because you deserve to feel empowered, supported, and aligned with the woman you are meant to be. Whether it's setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care, or trusting your intuition, this is your space to reconnect with the woman behind the mom. Thank you for being here on this journey with me. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Empower You. I'm so excited to have a guest, Aleah, here. I'm so honored to have you here. Your journey from hormone imbalance and burnout to becoming the practitioner you once needed is just so inspiring. And I think it's a message that so many women need to hear, Aleah, and I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and just discuss all of the things together today.
Good. Okay. So my first question for you. What was going on in your body and life when things first started to feel off? We're going to get right.
Goodness. What wasn't going on, right? It was the pretty quintessential mid-30s, starting to approach midlife chaos. I had 2 young children, a husband that traveled all the time, involved in every PTO board and, Boys and Girls Club board, just spread thin, basically is what it was. Spread thin, definitely carrying around some trauma, as we all do, just different things from growing up from childhood and on, and trying my best to kind of, let's just say, muscle my way through everything all the time. And I found myself at complete burnout. I was exhausted. I got to the point it was hard to wash my hair. To even just lift my arms and wash my hair was so exhausting and difficult that I remember being at a point where I would shower and then I would have to lay down on the couch until my sons got home from school. And it was like preschool at that point. Because I wasn't going to have the energy to take care of them if I didn't lay down for an hour or two. So I went to all kinds. Yes. Went to all kinds of practitioners, went to naturopaths, went to doctors, different alternative specialists, and no one could really tell me what was wrong. They just said, well, your hormones are off. It looks like you have a newborn. I'm like, well, I don't have a newborn. They were like toddlers at that point, but they're like, it's normal.
By your results, they were saying that?
Yes, because I was so depleted. Everything was just wiped out. And so really common after having a child for your hormones to just kind of be a huge mess and to be really depleted because your body has given to another human. But I was multiple years out from that at that point. So I knew that wasn't the issue. But all they could tell me was just stress less. It's what you're experiencing is normal for your mid-30s to gain some weight unexpectedly and to be tired. Just find a way to have less stress in your life, which telling any mom that's juggling a million things, that's not realistic. Life has stress. And yes, there are always ways we can find to resolve some of those things, maybe learn some boundaries, put things in place, but stress will never 100% go away. It's more about becoming resilient to stress and what are some practices you can incorporate into your life that can help you deal with life. But that wasn't the approach anyone took with me at that point. They were just like, girl, you're just tired. You're good. You're fine. And right. Fast forward about 7 years later, and I'm continuing to see doctors throughout that whole time. And I found myself with a breast cancer diagnosis. So,
oh my gosh,
that's where we were at, which if anyone is not familiar with cancer, it takes 10 years to grow a tumor to the point that it can really be detected. So that was part of what my body was part of it. It was part of what my body was going through as it was combating a tumor that was building. And so it was exhausting itself trying to fight that off. Your immune system gets activated. So that was a piece of it. Having had breast cancer was not the root cause of why I felt like that, but it was a symptom for sure.
Yeah, wow. I love the way you say that because I think a lot of people would just automatically assume like they would get that diagnosis of the breast cancer and be like, okay, now my problems are solved.
Right.
We know what the root cause is.
Yeah, it was more like, okay, we need to take a deeper look. Like, to me, it was a signal.
Yeah.
Something is more wrong than you even thought previously, and it's time to start peeling that onion back and finding those layers and detecting what it was. And it was a wake-up call. The way I was running my life, both physically and energetically, was against how we're designed.
Yeah.
And that put my body in a place where it was at war with itself. And so it was up to me to make those changes from a physical standpoint, mental standpoint, energetic standpoint, to really kind of holistically come back in alignment with how we're designed to live. And once I started really embracing those changes and making those shifts, wow, I mean, life changed big time.
Can you tell me a bit more about like that disconnection you were feeling in that time period to your body
Mm-hmm.
and how you felt disconnected and then like how it evolved and changed in that connection you feel now?
Sure. I think the disconnection is one that most women commonly have, where we are our own worst critics of our body. So instead of embracing my body, embracing the home that I've been given, it was constantly an effort of tearing it down. You're not thin enough, or, you've now had kids and you look like a mom. You don't look like you're 20 anymore, and thinking that there was shame in that instead of that's the natural evolution of what our bodies do when we go through those things. Yeah, it was just that constant, like, not appreciating my body for all that it does for me, and really fueling my life from a physical standpoint, whether it was with food, how I would manage my stress, the tools and practices that I had. I was just running myself ragged, just really, that hustle culture that we're all surrounded with, me to a T. And I'm a type A person. I'm go, go, go. I'm motivated, but also it became very apparent that I was dealing with a lot of that internal conflict by staying busy, because it keeps you from actually having to feel or address any of those issues. And so, God, the universe, source, however you want to relate, I feel like has a way of kind of interjecting at a point. If, you get warning signs, and if you don't listen, like, they'll step in and be like, okay,
And be
yeah.
like, now's the
And
time.
that's what
And
breast cancer
the
was for me. Yeah, it was like, girl, you are going to stop and you're going to redo everything because you're not
yeah,
listening, and I need you to listen.
yeah, that was the big catalyst, it sounds
Hmm.
like, for it was that wake up call.
For sure.
And you answered the call,
Yeah.
right? Literally answered
Hmm.
the call of taking that information that had built over time and being able to transmute that information into what you do today.
Exactly. Exactly. It was like, as soon as I was given that diagnosis, it was like cold water splashed in my face, and I was like, this is life or death now. Like, I know what I'm doing and how I'm operating is not in my best interest. It's time to completely redo this, and I'm the only one that can. Not a doctor, not a physician, not a surgeon. I'm the only one. I'm in charge of my health. I'm the one that can be the one to change all of it going forward.
You like on a percentage wise, let's say like 0% to 100%. How much of a percentage do you think that you are where you are today because you advocated?
Oh my goodness. Because I advocated for myself and then made all those changes, I don't even know that I would be here, period, if I hadn't.
So it's
So
like
I'm
over
in
100.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like 90 to 100%. Like, yes, I mean, there are definitely some medical breakthroughs and things that can help. And I did do a little bit of traditional medicine, but the vast majority of everything I did was non-traditional, functional, integrative, alternative. Um, and I knew it was like, it was the scariest time of my life because, here you are with something they're telling you is life or death for at certain decision points. And I had to look physicians in the eye and say, no, that's not my path. That's not the path I'm going
It's
down. And I
real.
felt so strongly inside, and I knew that was my inner guidance, that I was being spoken to, and finally I was listening. Um, and so I had to stand firm in that, and it meant doing something different and walking a path that no one I knew had ever walked before. But I knew if I could walk that path in my conviction and how I felt and come out on
Yeah.
the other side, that I would be able to turn back and pull the next woman along with me that felt the same.
Yes. And so is that like, are you able to speak about that where it's like you said no to certain methods? Like was that with your cancer diagnosis?
It was, yes. It was after I was diagnosed. I did have a double mastectomy. So that was the traditional form of treatment. But then I was told I needed chemotherapy, radiation, hormone blockers. So they were going to put me on a medication and an injection that would put me into medicated menopause, like just shut everything down. And I was diagnosed at 40. So I was, still pretty young. And I opted out of all of those. So I did the mastectomy. And honestly, looking back and knowing what I know and the changes that I did that I put in place myself, um, I might have even done that decision different, to be honest.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I do think, it was part of my journey, my path that I went through, and I'm able to speak with other women that are going through similar things. The main thing is that there's always a choice, right? Um, we're told often that there's one way to do it and it's the right way. And as a practitioner myself now, I don't feel that's accurate. I think there are so many paths, so many ways to go about it. And what you have to do is learn to listen to your body, listen to your own inner knowing, and it's going to guide you. And you'll know if you're on the right path or if you're not. And you have to advocate for yourself for the path that's going to work for you, because we're not cookies that fit in a cookie cutter mold.
No.
You have to find the path that works for you. And so mine just happened to look very different from anyone I have ever met before.
Wow. Yeah, I always remember like I have a really cool Chinese medicine doctor and she said, you know what? Like, and she's a huge believer in holistic medicine, right? And it's like she practices it and she's taught me a lot. And she said, now if my she's very funny. She's like, mind you, if my arm, the bone is hanging out, like, please take me to a surgeon. Don't take me to my naturopath, but otherwise, like, she really feels that there's a holistic way. And I love seeing your Instagram posts. Like anybody, I'm going to have all of Aleah's information in the show notes because I really want you to follow her, especially if you're looking at these, you're listening to her story or you're thinking, okay, some of my symptoms, like, can you go over, Aleah, like some of the symptoms, people who are in their late 30s, early 40s, like they're kind of like, and I'm 42, like I am noticing, I'll get flushed cheeks and I feel like with, very, like I don't eat very much sugar, like very, very, very limited that like I've definitely changed my diet a lot, working out, like all of those things have really helped. But can you kind of go over the symptoms that people might be finding?
Sure. Women in midlife typically will have some similarities. Obviously, we're all bioidentical and everyone presents differently, but it is not uncommon for us to put on weight unexpectedly without changing anything in our routine. We might be eating the same, very clean, working out the same, and all of a sudden we're gaining weight. Part of the reason of that is our blood sugar levels, like how we handle that, changes at no fault to ourselves or anything we're doing. It's just something that happens with age where we don't process sugar through our blood system the way we did when we were younger. So
Yeah.
that also can cause things like fatigue and irritability and just having hunger pains and cues at different times. Our metabolism starts to shift. So we might find that we're not hungry. So then we stop eating breakfast because we wake up and we're not hungry anymore. However, that perpetuates the system, and then the metabolism slows down even more. And your body kind of goes into a starvation mode because you're not fueling it with what it needs just to function, not even for looks, but just to function.
Yeah.
So weight's a big one. Blood sugar kind of going all over the place is one. And fatigue, right? Like we are exposed to so many toxins in our environment, regardless of where you live. Those things build up in our bodies over time. And then as we age, we have had a whole lifetime of stress and things that we're dealing with and baggage that we're carrying. And it gets to the point where you run out of your reserves. And so we find ourselves depleted. Our food has changed. The ground that the food has grown in has changed. So, what we used to be able to do simply with just making sure we ate clean doesn't always get us where we need to go. Sometimes we need support because the nature of our environment has changed so much in the last 20 years.
Reading that it's like if you looked at a grain of flour today compared to 40 years ago, it would be
Totally
unrecognizable.
different. Mm-hmm. It's exactly 100% true. The grains themselves have changed. How they're processed has changed. What they're sprayed with has changed. And that's why, you'll find some people that can have gluten like in Europe, but they can't have it over in the US or Canada because of it's more in the processing of the flour than it is in actually the plant itself. So there's so many things around us that have shifted and changed in the last 20 years that our bodies can't keep up with all those changes. We weren't designed to take on all of that burden and be able to filter it out naturally. So sometimes we have to step in and give ourselves some extra support. And so it really just comes down to educating yourself on what are the things you can control. It
Yes.
doesn't mean being perfect. One, perfect is boring, and two, perfect is unsustainable. So it's more, where are the areas you can improve, and then let the rest go. Because you can also stress yourself out to the point on all of these things that then is affecting your health. So trying to find that sweet spot where you're supporting your body, you're making good choices, but you're just not so worried about everything around you that becomes your demise.
Have you ever read the book Dying to Be Me?
Yes, a long time ago.
Did you? Yeah, it's one of my favorites, and it really reminds me of your story. And she had stage 4 cancer, and she she died and came back and said that the biggest lesson she got when she was on the other side was that the root of it, of all of the disease, was fear.
I could see that for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, I think we carry fear with us every day.
yeah. And fear, and it's tough too, because it's like there are some people, like for myself, I have a really big hate on for dyes, food dyes,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I don't understand, like you were saying about how, US and Canada, like I just don't understand why there's food dyes in so many products. There was something recently, the Reese's Pieces, like, all over like kids' candies and ice creams, and it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very strict with my kids about it. And there's research showing
Mm-hmm.
direct links to causing cancer,
For
just
sure.
like you said, with the buildup of the toxicity, and we're willingly feeding our kids these things. And it doesn't, like, but it's tough because it's like you also don't want to have the fear of the product. Do you know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Like, it's like you
Yeah.
don't want to, it's with kids where you don't want to have them fearful of it,
Right.
but you want to inform. Like, how do you find there's like you can create a balance of that for women where it's like you don't want to have to become obsessed, but you also want to live an informed life?
So I think it boils down to education, but being educated by someone who's not fear mongering, because there are a lot of those influencers in the health and fitness space that are toxic, for lack of a better word. They are fear mongering. And that doesn't help either, because every time you're around that food, then you're taking in that vibrational energy of that fear, and that doesn't help you. So it's educating from an unbiased standpoint, and then it's adapting it into your life in a way that works for you and your family. So again, control what you can control. Where can you control it? Some areas of the country don't have access to as many things as others, so they are ones where they have to focus on, I can only control, these are the organic produce that I can eat, and the rest of it I have to let go because I don't have access to it. And you
Mhm.
can't, stress about it. Or like you said, with the food dyes, we're similar in our family as well. We don't have it in our house. We try to keep it out. But if my kids are at someone's birthday party and they're served,
Yes.
they have the choice. And my children, who are going to be 17 and 15 this summer, so they're almost adults now, which is crazy to
Yeah.
think. They know enough to what the consequence is, what those things bring in, but they also know if they have it every once in a while, it won't be the end of the world. So that's kind of where we find that balance, is to just most of the time keep it out of the house. But if you come to those things and it is lending to the experience around you,
Yes.
then maybe that's a time you let it go.
Yeah, exactly. I love that because that's very similar to what we do. And my kids are 13, 10, and 8.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's crazy. The schools will send them home with freezies. Like they will, like, it's always these freaking huge freezies. And my oldest will say to me, yeah, we got served freezies today. And I made sure to choose the white one. Because I always say to them, like, at least those, it's like the red, the orange, blues are the biggest culprits, right? So it's like, I love that, like, choosing, it's still that power, and it's like you said too about women in general, like, we always have the power of choice, and so it's instilling and empowering our kids with that power of choice
Mm-hmm.
early is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I love hearing you talk about the tests that, doctors do, and I know for myself, my Chinese medicine doctor did a hair analysis test. And it blew my mind because I was taking magnesium like it was my job, but it showed I was deficient in magnesium.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me that gave us information about my gut lining, that it wasn't actually holding the minerals.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a bit more about that? Like what people should look for or ask for, um, and kind of what you've been told with tests, and kind of get into that kind of test info.
Sure, definitely. Obviously, most people have access to like just general blood work through their primary care provider, but it's taking that blood work and understanding it. So
Yes.
traditional medicine, they are creating standard ranges when they're looking at the blood work. So everyone kind of falls into this normal range. If you've heard like, oh, everything's normal, but you don't feel good, there's a
Mhm.
reason for that. A standard range includes not only just the healthy population, but the sick population. It includes everyone. So you have people who are diseased, obese, diabetic, everyone's in it. And so normal is a very wide range. If you work with someone like me that's a functional health practitioner, we use functional ranges. And so when we're trying to determine that normal, I put it in quotes because, what is
Yeah,
normal, right?
what's
Um,
normal.
we're only looking at that range in optimally healthy people, because that's what we're all aspiring for, is we all want health. And so I want to know, when I'm having my blood work done, is my range normal for the healthy population? And so if you have gotten your blood work done through your primary care provider and they tell you that things are normal, you could always take that blood work to another functional health practitioner and have them look at it through functional ranges. I do that for clients all the time, because it's going to tell a different story than what theirs does, just because you're looking at it through a different lens. So that's very basic. But beyond that, I love a hair tissue mineral analysis because you're getting down to that cellular level, and it can tell you so many things. It tells you things about your gut, about your thyroid, how your body's handling stress, just your general composition, how your makeup from like a mental standpoint is. Like, are you kind of running, or are you burnt out? So there's a lot of things that can be told from a hair tissue mineral analysis. And then my other favorite is a good GI lab, which is a stool sample.
Done that
Oh
before.
my gosh, that's like I'm a total geek over here. I will geek out over a GI lab any day because it will find so many things. Our
So
guts
many.
are our neurocenter, right? Like gut health is related to everything in the body. And so once your gut health is off, there's different things that kind of like you were saying that transmute and turn into other disease, other issues. So if you can get that gut health tightened up, it's like a ripple effect. Other things will heal.
Yeah.
So those two are like my favorite.
There was so I have a mouth guard at night,
Mhm.
and I was never taught how to clean it. And I was doing just like tooth like brushing it,
Mhm.
right? Because I thought,
Yeah.
okay, I brush my teeth, I'm gonna brush this, put it back in. And I found out recently that it can actually build candida, and so it can cause oral thrush.
Mhm.
And I had a hurt, like my tongue was burning and it hurt. And this is one of the reasons why I got this stool test.
Yeah.
Because I said to my doctor, I know I have thrush. And they're like, there's no way you have thrush. It doesn't look like it. It's not showing the typical symptoms.
Mhm.
Well, like you're not a baby, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so I kept being told no, no, no. So I was like, no, I know I have it. And so I did a stool test, and
Mhm. It showed
the
up, didn't it?
naturopath I went to was like, well, you were right. There's a bit of showed up, and then recently found out that that was the
Mhm.
culprit. But it's so interesting, right? And it's like, I think that is such a key message where it's like you said, you've got to trust that intuition, that inner
Yes.
knowing. Like
Yep.
you, I love that story of you being like, no, I don't want any of those methods that you've told me, because something inside of me
Mhm.
is telling me no. And it's like, one of the things I teach in my course, Trust Within, is muscle testing,
Yes. Yes.
which is like really allowing
Mhm.
yourself to connect to your body. Cause like you said, we've disassociated so much and just kind of got, even like we talked about with the red food dyes, where it's like, okay, well, society's putting them on the counter. They're putting them for us to purchase. We're just going to do it blindly. Right. Like, and it's like, no, be informed, allow yourself to, realize and connect to your body and that intuition. And I know that for you, like if somebody were to go and get a mineral test, like the hair mineral or a blood test, and if you're listening and you want to have Aleah look it over, like please do that. She's so good at this. And there's so much information, like you said, that you can get from it, because you have a lot of people, right, that come to you with their tests and probably get so much more information.
Yes, we're able to kind of put together a plan, and they're like, thank you. Finally, something makes sense. And that's kind of like you said with the inner knowing. It's validation that what they were feeling was correct. It's the
Yes.
data that goes with it. But by far, our biggest tool we have for our health is our intuition. And it's learning to listen. And that it is one of the hardest jobs if you are not used to doing it. Even after you have found your path, it's easy to stray off of it. And I have found that it's when life gets loud and busy, it blocks that voice. And so it's always about taking that step back, coming back within, calming things down in your life so that you can hear that voice again. But it won't steer you wrong. So if you feel like something is off with your health and your doctor is saying everything's normal and you're fine, don't stop there. Something's
Don't stop.
off. Your body is talking to you.
No, I agree so much. Yeah, because it's there's just been so many stories, right? Where it's like so many of my clients who have had to who knew something was up. And we live in a society where we override our feelings all the time. It's just like when we were little, and our parents, like how many of us have had our parents say, you're okay,
Yeah.
like you're crying, you're upset, and they're feeling uncomfortable by our emotions, and they're saying you're okay.
Mhm.
you're fine. Right. And
Right.
it's like you're teaching your kids how to override that intuitive muscle inside of them that knows that something's up and they need to be seen, heard, and felt. Right. Like, and I feel like you're providing that for people. You're actually able to see them and hear them.
That's honestly, that's why what kind of led me here was take that pain to passion. I do believe that is the reason that I went through everything and went through that journey, is so that I could be someone that did listen, because so many people aren't listened to or even given the time to amount to anything to be able to tell their story. So it, I'm able to hear them and then almost kind of play back for them what they're saying. And then they're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." And then all of a sudden they know what's off. They can figure it out. And then we just have the data that backs it up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's confirming it. And then, so then once you find out what's going on, then you make a plan for them
Mhm.
moving forward.
Yes. Yep. And we walk through the journey every step of the way. I meet with my clients every 2 weeks through Zoom, and we check in on things. And if things aren't kind of working great with their life, then we find ways to tweak it and make it work for them. Because it isn't just take a supplement, take a pill, do one quick
Mhm.
thing and it fixes. It's kind of like what I went through. You need to look at all aspects of your life and see where you need to shift some things to get your body back into alignment so that you can feel your best.
Yeah, because you really are. I find with holistic health, you really are playing the long game,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
it's like, but I do feel like I know for myself, I had full body nerve pain. And it was like my body was burning and it was so painful. And I was being prescribed nerve blockers,
Hmm.
right? And I didn't take them because I didn't want to disassociate and I wanted to be able to know, because I said, I said to the doctor, what was it I said? I said, how do I know if I'm taking them if my body is healing?
Right. You
How
wouldn't.
do I know?
You
And she
wouldn't
didn't know
know.
how to answer. She
Yeah.
was like, I'm not sure what to tell you.
No.
Because the way that they blocked the pain, there was like these other elements that I knew that I wasn't going to be able to progress in the way I wanted to. It was
Mhm.
going to come and put a band-aid on it for
Yep.
me. But it wasn't going to actually long term help me the way I wanted to, just judging and looking at, the difference of this medication. And yeah, she was perplexed. She didn't know how to take me.
Hmm.
Um, and I just didn't take it. And I just allowed myself, it took 2 years to recover. But I was actually, now I don't feel any nerve pain, right? And it's like, but I had to do the long game. I had to do the supplements, do the hair analysis, and I wish I would have known you then. But it probably would have gone a lot faster. But it was a lot of guessing, a lot of trial and error, which I'm sure you still find, right? Because like you said, everybody's different. Everybody's body's going to respond differently.
Right. Definitely. It is different, but I've found because I use my intuition with my clients in my practice, and I feel like I've been given this gift that I'm able to pick up on things that they say when we are just talking about stuff that, and I don't automatically say we're running these tests. I want 24 hours to really like download what they're saying. And I just intuitively come up with, I think these are the ones that are going to give us the answers. And I mean, I have goosebumps, but I have yet to be wrong. So my intuition has become very strong that not only does it work for me, it works for my clients, where I can pick up things that they're saying. And I've had some really, really dynamic success cases where, I mean, they went to like top notch, best of the best in the country, couldn't figure it out. And we were able to pinpoint it. And so within months, like changed how they felt.
So you're based in the States, right,
I
Aleah?
am, yes.
US. So do you ever have people from Canada come to you?
I have not yet. I have worked with people all across the United States because my clinic is virtual, but I am able to work with people from Canada.
Cool. What does that look like? So they would get their tests done here in
Mhm.
Canada, and then they would email you the results, and then you come with a plan?
So it would depend on how we did it. If they were having like their general blood work done by a primary care provider, yes, they would do that there. They could upload it to me and I could look at it for them. Otherwise, any of the testing, the functional tests, like the stool tests, the hair tissue mineral analysis, those get shipped out from the lab. So I just put the order in and the lab direct ships to my client's house. They're able to actually do the test at home and send it in. And then the lab just emails me the results. And then I can sit down and look at everything and then go over everything online.
Yeah. And I think a lot of like, I know whenever I get blood work, they'll ask me, is there anybody else you want me to send this to?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And you can do that as well.
So it's being done in Canada, it can be sent to your email. Yeah. Perfect. And I think even my stool test went to the States.
Sure. Well, a lot of times that's the case. Yeah. A lot of the hair tissue ones do too. They go to Texas.
Well, the hair tissue one, I think, went to Germany.
My, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, right? Like, so it's like, I really want people to know that even though Aleah is in the US, a lot of my clients are from Canada. And it's like this beautiful ability knows no bounds, right? Like, don't let it limit you. As soon as you hear like, oh, I wonder if, and it's like, no, don't worry about it. It's not like, the healthcare system is it can only be stuck in one spot. Just, let yourself think more globally and wider, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So when somebody goes and messages you, what would they say to you? Just, I need help with blank.
Mm-hmm.
What test do I need? These are my symptoms.
Typically, they'll come to me with that, something along those lines. Let me know a little bit about what they're discussing, but I won't do anything based off of that little of information. And so we would just book a free call. Can be a phone call, can be a Zoom call. I want to spend like half hour to an hour with you before we would even start or commit to working together. Hear what's actually going on. Make sure, am I someone that can help you? If I'm not, I'm going to do my best to put you in touch with another practitioner I know that maybe specializes in that area that's going to get you faster results or better results. And then that's kind of where I can come together with, okay, this is what I would recommend, whether it's with me or someone else. I truly feel like I said, that this has become my passion from my pain. And so I'm here to serve. And so it's not always about, I might not be the best fit. And that's okay, because sometimes people don't want to work the way I work, where we're meeting every couple weeks. They don't want to take that on. And so if that's the case, then I do my best to align them with someone else that I know will do a good job for them.
That's beautiful. And that shows your integrity too. I'm the same, where it's like, I really feel like the right people are going to find me and want to work with me.
Exactly.
And if it's not a good fit, then maybe I was that landing board to be able to bring them to that other person. Yeah, exactly. That's beautiful. So for the woman listening right now who's exhausted, overwhelmed, and unsure what her body's trying to tell her, like, what do you want her to know?
I want her to know she's not broken. I want her to know that what she's experiencing, while is considered normal for midlife, does not mean that it's a normal she has to adopt. That she can take these midlife years and actually transcribe them into the best years of her life. She can feel better than she did in her 20s. She just has to listen and put a plan together and be willing to make some shifts in her life that will support those changes.
Yeah, I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you, Aleah.
Thank you.
I think your story, really shows the transition and the transmutation of just going from kind of what you talked about with control, you were in that, go hustle mentality, like you said. And then that cancer diagnosis just completely was the catalyst to bring that connection to the body and the intuition really online, to allow the trust to come in. And then to see how you've like allowed that trust to really fuel your business, and that intuition to be that guiding light, right? That's just, you're bang on with your clients because your intuition has grown so strong.
It's a gift, and it's a gift I never want to take it for granted.
No, thank you so much for being here. I think there's so many women who are suffering and who, you know, there's so much information out there. And I really feel like hormones are I don't know if it's because of my age, but I feel like I'm getting so many, like, inundated with
Mhm.
information right now.
Yes.
And it's like, what is good information? Like you said, and it's really discerning between what is and isn't. And I can tell you that when you go onto Aleah's Instagram, you're going to see she has quality information, and she's able to inform you in a way that allows you to make your own decisions and to come to your own conclusions, and it empowers you.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much for being on here, and I will tag Aleah in the show notes. I'm going to give all of her information. Is there anything that you want people to know or walk away from, or how they can start working with you? Any, you know, maybe throw out your website or anything like that, Aleah, for people?
Sure. My website is just my name, aleahdecant.com. So that'll be in the show notes because that's probably harder for people to know. But yes, and I'm always willing to answer questions. They can email me, they can message me on Instagram. It's me. It's always me that's going to answer everything. So I'm a one person working horse over here, but I do it in a way that aligns with what I need energetically. And I'm happy to answer anything at any time because health should not be subjective and it's for all. So
Thank you so much.
thank
We
you.